Follow socials, here's the way.
Gurl TauX, every platform come to play. Catch our vibe, don't delay.
Facebook, YouTube streams, scrolling through your daily memes. Gurl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Keeping it real, it's what we do. So tune in now and join our crew. Lights moving through the screen, click subscribe, don't be me. Upbeat chatter, it's our routine. Gurl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Gurl TauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere Gurl TauX can be seen. Gurl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Update stories, laugh and cry. It's Gurl TauX, so don't question why. It's the show that you'll adore. Come back daily to get some more. Gurl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Gurl TauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere Gurl TauX can be seen. Gurl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Gurl TauX, log in now, watch our show. Likes and comments, let them flow. Every day we're on our way. Gurl Talk Show is here to stay. Gurl Talk Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about.
Walking down this road tonight, talking about the things we fight. Addiction knocking at my door. E&T wants so much more. We walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Gurl TauX, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, together we'll move along. Searching for a brighter day, holding tight along the way. Sobriety's a steep climb, D&T winning every time. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Gurl TauX, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Gurl TauX, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Gurl TauX, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along. Oh yeah, we walk the walk and talk the talk, right here on Gurl TauX, on the path where we belong. Standing strong through the storm, D&T bringing all of you along.
Well, hello, hello, hello. Hey, how's everybody doing today? Today, I think is Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. Um, some days I don't know what day it is. I have been doing a lot of work with my business. And interestingly enough, a lot of the work I've been doing is for my dear friend Kristen. KK is what we refer to her most of the time. Um, but I've been working a lot on the stuff for her memorial that's coming up in in a little over a week and a half. Uh, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So, uh, anyway, it's been emotional as well as actually healing, working on this project or these projects that I've been working on. It has been rather healing. I have to say, I'm not sure how many of you saw this, and I will pull it up real quick just because I think it is important to discuss, and it does fit into our topic, but it also fits into what I and, uh, the family have gone through with, with the likes of this, mm, um, fentanyl crisis, so to speak, with everything that has been going on there. So it has been extremely frustrating with the crisis that is going on, and then people that just, I guess, they don't wanna admit it, they don't wanna talk about it, they don't wanna admit that that's part of the problem. Uh, so I have to say that people need to realize how big of a deal this fentanyl coming into our country is. Um, and if you don't pay attention to it, you're gonna miss the gravity of it, and, I have to say that it is huge. It is huge, and if you didn't see it and you didn't watch, Pam Bondi's, uh, press conference that happened, I'm gonna play just a little portion of it. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, all the people talking, but I am gonna play a small portion of it, and then we will get to our show. We're gonna start with this little thing because I think it is important for us to pay attention to. Um, we have so much going on that it's hard to say what is kicking off the internal war that we're having here in the US. And that is part of the reason why I said, no war, just law. Stopping the civil clash over race, gangs, LGBTQ, and mostly the T, and deportation. I didn't include the T in that, but I did when I was writing my other questions. And the reality is, all of those things are big in themselves, but they're starting to overlap, and they're starting to cause where, what are we really clashing over and what are we really going to end up fighting over? Because they're all starting to overlap with what I believe this country stands for, what our Constitution stands for, and all of a sudden the liberals are all for the Constitution, which cracks me the hell up because they weren't for the Constitution before. Now all of a sudden they're all for the Constitution. So let's get started by listening to this real quick overview of, it was a press conference by the AG Pam Bondi. So let's get started with that.
The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, is speaking about a major drug cartel.
You know, you got to start shooting me at some point here because I forget to turn the sound
Department, where the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, is speaking about a major drug cartel operation involving the Sinaloa cartel. Let's listen in.
To date, this multi-agency operation led by DEA with our local, state, tribal, and federal partners targeted one of the largest and most dangerous drug trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations in our country. The DEA seized 11.5 kilos of fentanyl, including an astounding approximately 3 million fentanyl pills, the largest seizure in our nation's history. These are the pills in the bags right there.
It takes just a second and they finally do like show what she's pointing at. The first time I watched this, I actually had to go out of watching it from a couple other networks that were there, but they refused to pan out and they refused to show the picture. And I'm like, seriously? Like CNN would not show any of the pictures. Even Right Side News Network stayed on her. It took forever before they panned out a little bit. I don't know. When somebody points at something, don't you think like, hey, I should go over there and pan to it because she's pointing something out? I mean, I was a journalist, so that's what I would have done. But anyway.
Bottom right.
Yep, let's point
The
it out
head
and not show
of this
it.
organization, Sinaloa organization, here in the country illegally, 6 of these guys and women here in the country
here we
illegally. His name is Alberto Salazar Amaya. He is the leader, and he was living in Salem, Oregon. With him, they got millions of dollars, cash, cars, but the drugs were in Albuquerque, Phoenix, and Utah. That's how insulated.
Now, that is a very big point, and she'll say it here in a second, but the people that are in charge generally are not the footmen. You know, they're not. And I know there are some people that I've heard that are like, why were there only 6 arrested? These are probably key players that they have arrested. They probably have arrested several other people to get to them. And they've made deals with them to get to the bigger people because, and on top of that, I'm sure they had some kind of undercover going on. And so in order to protect certain people, you gotta not divulge everything. So these were the kingpins or the bigger players that they are putting out. So it's not just that those are probably the only ones ever arrested. It was probably a domino effect to get to these larger players.
These drug dealer cartel leaders make themselves. This was an incredible operation, and that's why I wanted all of you here behind me. It took months and months of work, investigation, leading up to smaller buys, smaller cases, to get this massive amount of drugs and guns off our streets. $5 million approximately in cash, 35 kilos of methamphetamine.
Now, if they have $5 million in cash, that means that's the money they made selling this stuff to innocent people. And yes, people who take drugs are still innocent people. They're doing it for whatever reason, pain, emotion, to get away from things. They've become addicted. There's a lot of reasons for it. But they're still innocent. And especially when it's laced with something that can kill you, that wasn't necessarily your intention when buying whatever.
35 kilos of meth. 7.5 kilos of cocaine, 4.5 kilos of heroin, 49 rifles and pistols, all shown in the pictures. And then, of course, the 3 million pills.
And this goes on for me to once again discuss the gun issue. When so many people are like, well, we need tougher gun laws and we need to restrict people from having guns. They only got these guns from them by seizing them and catching them. So, you know, by common sense, if you have any, the people involved in this type of behavior, criminal behavior, they are not going to do a buyback program. They are not going to turn in their guns, no questions asked. They are, you know, they might do that with ones that they know for a fact were used in a homicide, since there's no questions asked, to dump them, to get rid of them. Because according to what I've read, and I could be wrong, on these supposed buyback programs in California, they did not allow nor authorize them to investigate the weapons once they were turned in. They just disposed of them. So then if they're connected to a homicide, they would never know it because they aren't doing a forensics on the weapons. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know if that's 100% for sure, but you think about that. That's kind of a big deal. You know?
These pills were stamped as oxycodone. Let that sink in. 3 million pills going on our streets. 3 million pills, the streets of our country, laced with fentanyl, labeled as oxycodone. And they were in all different strengths of fentanyl within them. This operation was made possible by over 55,000 hours of law enforcement investigation. And this is a really dangerous job that these DEA agents face every day, but they are getting very dangerous drugs off of our streets each day.
Now, the reason that I am so happy about this seizure, and it's the largest fentanyl seizure in U.S. history as of right now, but that's what my best friend died from, is fentanyl. And I don't know, I mean, it was fentanyl, meth, and so we don't know if she was taking meth and it was laced with fentanyl, or if she was taking fentanyl and meth. But it was a combination of alcohol, fentanyl, and meth. And so it makes you wonder, because we can't ask her. We can't talk to her and find out, was this deliberate? Did she take it on purpose, like the fentanyl, and it was just more than she could handle? Did she know there was fentanyl in it? Was it purposely, was it laced? Did she get a bad, and I don't call it a bad batch, like all of it's a bad batch, but a very small. They said 3, the size of grains of salt, 3 of them can kill you. 3 grains of salt worth of fentanyl can kill you. Now, if you have been taking different drugs and you've built up that immunity, yeah, you can take more, but what happens when you stop taking it for a while? That's why so many people who fall off the wagon, so to speak, and they do it just because they succumb to it and they do it one more time, they take what they used to take and then they die from it because they're not used to this new amount. They were used to what they were familiar with taking. And then they tried to recover. They tried to quit, and they succumbed to their desire and their ability not to stay sober, and they end up not they end up with the same amount that they had before, and then it kills them. This means a lot to me. I sent it to Donna because I was really happy to see that they are seriously going after this. Now, if you remember, if you're anywhere close to my age, most people watching are probably closer to my age. But I'm 54, so I remember the war on drugs. You know, the egg burning in the frying in the pan. This is your brain on drugs. Just say no. All that stuff. But it's so much worse now because they're lacing stuff with something that can, one, kill you, and two, get you highly addicted very quickly. Make you an addict, even if you try it once. You know, it's really, really sad as to what is going on and what's happening. Why are we not paying attention? Why are these things so, quiet? We have to talk about it. We have to be open and honest and talk about it. So that's our show for today. We are going to continue on, and we are going to talk about all the things that have to do with this topic. I mean, not all the things, because I guarantee you I'm not going to get through everything. But I'm pretty pissed off about what's happening. We're on the brink of chaos in this country on a daily basis. Race war whispers, MS-13 tearing up jails and streets, deportation splitting the nation, and the transgender agenda narrative, the war on women. It's a constant battle every day. And today we're stopping a civil war right here at Gurl TauX. And what I mean by that is we're going to talk about it. We're going to unpack all the things that I see pushing us to this brink of crisis. It's scary and it's sad. We're going to be tackling the MS-13 reign of terror, Tom Homan's fight to deport criminals, and why some judges and lefties are hugging thugs instead of justice, all to keep our nation whole. They hate Donald Trump so much and the MAGA movement so much that they are ready to die on this hill. And I'm wondering, what is it going to take before they realize what's happening? Who's ready to fight for peace with me? Who's ready to shut down this chaos? Who's ready to take a stand and say, I don't want to be a part of this? Let's do this. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share Gurl TauX with your crew so that I can build up my crew. Let's keep the sisterhood strong and growing. I appreciate that. So here's a joke. And I'm sorry, but I didn't write this joke. I haven't had time lately to write any jokes or do anything. So I've been letting my little Gurl TauX, my grok, write these silly dad jokes. Why'd the MS-13 thug get mad at the judge? She gave him bail and a hug instead of a one-way ticket to El Salvador. I think it should be the other way around. But we're locked and loaded with some truth today. So, Tom Homan, he's become a new hero of mine, out there cleaning up the streets and going after these people. And he says over and over, I don't care. I don't care what the left says. And yes, I know I need to turn my ringer off. I am sorry. I apologize. Shoot me now, Donna. I should not have my ringer on so that we're hearing what's happening on my phone. My apologies, everybody. Especially when it's laced with something that can kill you. That wasn't I literally just turned my sound down and then it turned it back up as soon as I opened that up. But that wasn't the plan. That's okay. It happens. Do you remember me doing my show the other day where I'm just telling you, I'm just real. I'm authentic. That means I'm human. I make mistakes. I do what I'm gonna do. I don't sit here and hide and pretend that I'm doing all the good things perfectly, because I don't. I don't do anything perfectly right. I don't do it correctly. I do it the best I can. And with that comes the facts that, I'm not always going to have my shit together. And yeah, sometimes I don't have my shit together. So, uh, I'm not sure if I'm just not on YouTube today. I'm not seeing my show on YouTube today. So is it playing? It says it's playing. So I don't know what's happening here. Okay, I guess there it is. Finally, I found it. Okay. So sometimes it's a little frustrating when I'm dealing with all these things at the same time. And my husband says, I'm watching on YouTube. So apparently he is watching on YouTube. Uh, sometimes it's really frustrating when I see this stuff and I have to have two things on so that I can keep an eye on if there are any comments. And sometimes the comments show on my screen, and sometimes they don't. So, I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to it. Like I said, don't forget to give a thumbs up, like this, subscribe, and join my tribe. Overview. Let's think about this. What is the overview of what has been going down? We have had a breakdown of our civil liberties, and we have had a breakdown of so many things that the left suddenly wants to tout the Constitution when they didn't want to do it when it was our constitutional rights. And I mean us as in Republicans, conservatives, Donald Trump, the MAGA, because there was no civil rights. There was no constitutional rights being held for anyone that was in January 6th, especially when it was a bait and switch. We have so many things tied to this war. It's a war on rhetoric. It's a war with the media. It's a war on women. It's a war with transgenders. It's a war with civil rights. It's a war with deportation. It's a war with words. It's a war with race. I mean, we have so many things combating it at the same time. MS-13's violence. It's so much. The headlines are screaming all of this stuff. And the left-sided media does nothing but say negative things about Trump, the conservatives, the MAGA movement, anybody. It's all negative. MS-13 is turning jails into war zones, streets into slaughterhouses, and some folks are fanning race war flames to tear us apart. The FBI says MS-13 got 10,000 members in the U.S., and they're not here for hugs. Think murders, rapes, trafficking. Tom Homan, Trump's border czar, is pushing to deport these animals, saying, we're coming for you. Pam Bondi is saying the same thing. We're coming for you, and we're not going to negotiate. And he's right. Judges like James Boasberg are throwing up roadblocks, halting deportation flights, or trying to, for Venezuela, for El Salvador. Gangbangers like Tren de Aragua, TDA. The lefts are out here holding hands with the illegals, claiming it's empathy, while our communities bleed. Massachusetts is releasing child rapists on $500 bail, per Fox News, because sanctuary vibes matter more than safety. This isn't compassion, it's chaos. And that is exactly what I think they are trying to do, is cause so much chaos that you don't know where you're going. You're in this, what the hell is happening now? Your head is on a spin. You can't keep up. The Civil War is brewing. And if we don't unite behind law, not feelings, not your feelings, but the law. My Gurl TauX sisters out there and some brothers, protect your own, stand firm, and don't let division win. We're stronger together. Let's keep it that way. I think it's really important that we think about what they're doing. They're churning and churning and churning and trying to get us to start fighting amongst ourselves. With 10,000 active members in MS-13 in 46 states, they're linked to 70% of violent gang crimes in 2024. Sanctuary policies, 60% of sanctuary cities release criminal migrants without ICE notification. Then you have these judges who are supporting them, making way for them, hiding them, helping them to escape, all those things. But then we're the bad people for going after the judges when that's a crime. Aiding and abetting is a crime. Aiding and abetting a criminal is a crime. So when we go after these judges, they're like, oh my God, now they're going after judges. This is just like the Jews in Nazi Hitler's day. It's not the same thing. We're not going door to door and being like, hey, show us your papers. You look kind of like you shouldn't be here. No, we're going after specific targeted people because we know their criminal record. When you're training at the range, remember to guard your families and keep building our communities. This fight's yours. We have to stay fierce, but we have to stay united, but we also have to stay prepared. MS-13 threats. There are so many threats against people. There is so much going on that we are not paying attention, and it's going to hit us when we least expect it. I'm going to show this other one here. I'm not going to share it all in its entirety all at once. We'll cut it apart.
3 Virginia correction officers are in the hospital after what officials say was a coordinated stabbing by inmates connected to MS-13.
This comes as Democrats try to distance themselves from deported MS-13 suspect Kilmar Abrego Garcia after new audio from his wife detailing domestic violence allegations surfaces.
We're not vouching for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We are vouching for his constitutional.
He's so full of shit. We're not gonna stop till we bring him home. We're not gonna stop until we bring him home. He's just a Maryland man. He's just a Maryland father. He's just a Maryland man. Oh shit. He's what? Oh damn. I remember that one interview where they asked him, did you ask him if he's MS-13? No. Well, why didn't you ask him? Oh, because he didn't want to hear the answers. I mean, wasn't it suspect that his wife was constantly posting photos of wanting him back with hearts over the knuckles every time? I mean, why was that? Why did she do that? Was that because she didn't want people to see his knuckle tattoos? Is that because she didn't want people to see that he had the MS-13? I'm going to show you this screen real quick. Here you go. That's the picture. Hearts, hearts, hearts. But what he has on his knuckles, and I've heard people saying this. I've heard people saying this part of it. And you know, the thing is people don't realize. And they say, "Oh, it's a leaf, a pot leaf, a smiley face, a cross, and a skull." What does the M stand for? Marijuana leaf, M. Smiley face, S. A cross, 1. Skull, 3. Now, I'm not sure what the skull that stands for the 3 means, but we can find out. Let's ask, why does skull stand for 3? So let's see what it says. In some contexts, a skull can symbolize 3. For example, in the game Hitman, skulls are used to indicate the difficulty level of challenge, with 3 skulls representing the master difficulty. Additionally, in some logos, the symbol a skull can be part of a larger representation that includes the number 3. And when you think about it, in that context, that's what it amounts to, is because the marijuana leaf, it's not a leaf and it's not a plant. It's a marijuana plant. It's a marijuana leaf, signifying M. Smiley face, S. The cross, a 1, because it's the same kind of shape as a 1. And the skull, because it has been used in multiple ways of somebody said it's fake. MS-13 does not use coded tattoos. All of their tattoos are explicit. And yeah, they do. They have certain codes because some people try to stay somewhat anonymous, and they have it like that on purpose. I mean, why that order? Gangs use coded tattoos all the time. I'm reading from Reddit. Gangs use coded tattoos all the time, especially in jail. The police have a book of tattoos and their meanings logged. Even TV shows feature the smiling face tattoo, which means across gang lines that you've killed someone in service of your gang. Where did you get this information that MS-13 doesn't participate in this practice? Are they the only gang that just doesn't participate in coded tattoos? I'd really like to see and understand the source of this information. See, there's a lot of people, though, that are jumping on this bandwagon because of what the left is pushing, that we are supporting the dehumanizing or the unfair treatment. They have a constitutional right of due process. Okay, I'm going to say that for somebody who's been here for a really long time and haven't committed any crimes other than maybe coming through the border, which is a crime. But at the same time, I'm also going to say, where have the victims' rights been that have been hurt? Where was their constitutional rights? Where was their due process? And they didn't have due process to get in. I mean, technically, to get in legally, there is a due process. You submit, you request, you pay your dues, you pay your fees, you do all these things. That is due process. And it's a waiting time to get your full green card, to get citizenship, all that stuff. But in the process, there is a process. At any point that you violate that process, you can be deported. And you should be deported. And if you have done all the right processes, then I do think you should be entitled to some kind of due process. But if you didn't use any due process to get in here, why do you equate to having due process on your way out? You need to go, especially if you're causing harm to people. Okay, we're listening to it. I'm going to keep listening to it while I'm trying to pull it up.
So great to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Charlie.
It's really kind of amazing when you step back and you look at, there was a time when this was like an actual controversial issue. I think it's now turned into like an 80-20 issue. But the idea that Democrats are now going out of their way to die on a hill defending a guy like this Garcia character, it's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, it really is. The mainstream media, these congressmen, these senators, the Democrat Party wrapping their arms around a known human smuggler, a wife beater, a violent criminal that was finally held accountable for his actions. The fact that they went to the mat for this guy just shows exactly who they are, that they are people who don't put America first. They don't care about our citizens and protecting our communities. So I'm glad that the onion's been peeled back and that their true motivations have been revealed. And this is just one of the cases that we're getting off the streets. You know, since President Trump has been in office, we have removed thousands and thousands of violent criminals, and people are safer today.
Well, and that's the facts is we are working really hard, or they are working really hard. But us here watching, we also have to work really hard on standing up for these people that are doing their jobs, that are making our country safer. We have to be the ones that are also standing up for what is happening and how this affects us as a nation, how this affects us. And look at how they attach onto something and they're so diehard about it until they're so proven to be too gullible, and the country and everyone else is not supporting it. They're not backing them up. They're like, why are you spending our tax dollars going to El Salvador to fight for somebody who is a clear MS-13 gang member? The Tennessee stop that they had with Abrego Garcia came out, and this was during Biden's administration. And ICE was contacted. They didn't want to come and do anything about it. They didn't want to come and handle it because they were told to stand down. You know, that's what really was going on. So he was let go, only to continue doing this behavior. And then, you know, word of his domestic violence got out. But then we didn't have a whole lot of evidence to back it up. But once the evidence to back it up started coming out, it really made him look bad. And do I think that his wife is doing it purposely? Yes, I do. But I don't think it's because she wants him back. I think she's threatened. I think because they are a part of this gang. Her own ex went for custody with his 2 children, stating that she was a girlfriend of a gangbanger and he didn't feel his kids were safe. That was in a court document. And so do you not think that the MS-13 gang members that he works with for and that report to other people are not threatening her, that you will not say a negative thing. You will not confirm nor deny. You will do nothing but say you want him home. You love him, blah, blah, blah. You know, the one time she was asked about the domestic violence, she answered with, he's alive. Because that is partly what she wants. She wants him to remain alive. And then they say he was disappeared. No, we knew where he was. He wasn't disappeared. He didn't magically poof disappear. We knew exactly where he was. And the case about he was sent to El Salvador when they said he couldn't be sent to El Salvador. That is about the only hearing that he would deserve. And that could be done in El Salvador. And that was over the fact that at the time, this non-gang member was worried about going back to El Salvador when he was getting his deportation hearings, and he did have due process several times. And they determined, based on his own words, that a rival gang, in order to have a rival gang, it's like football. Let's do a football analogy, or race car driving. You can't have a rival football team if you're not a football team. You can't beat somebody at a race if there's not other racers. You don't beat somebody at a track meet if there's no other track stars or track athletes. You have to have one to have the other. So in order for him to have a rival gang that would go after him, he has to be in the rival gang. That's how it works. You can't have a football team who is fighting for the Super Bowl ring if there's not another team that is also fighting for that Super Bowl ring. At NASCAR, when you're going round and round and making left-hand turns, you're not going to win the race if there's no other racers. Well, I guess you can. You could just be the only one out there. But you're not going to argue about anything at that point. You're by yourself. But El Salvador has come forward and said that rival gang has been eradicated. They've eradicated MS-13 there. Like, they went through and literally took big giant sledgehammers and stuff to their gravestones to remove all MS-13, all gang affiliated insignias, even on their gravestones. Some people can't even find where their gang member is located anymore because it's all been decimated, per the government, because they don't want them a place to go and worship these thugs, these gang members. Let's finish this one off.
So obviously, Democrats have come a long way from the time when they lectured all of us about believing all women. They seem to not be so interested in his wife's testimony, her statements about what he did to her.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And repeatedly and over again. And the other people who witnessed it, those other people who witnessed these beatings and these abuses, too. And you listen to the emotion in her voice and the trauma. And then they backed up this guy and they fought for him. And they flew to El Salvador to stand with him and say, this is the kind of guy I want to be friends with and advocate for and throw our federal laws and throw the United States of America under the bus for. Boy, I tell you what, this is a new low for Senator Van Hollen, but for the Democratic Party.
It seems like a weird hill to die on. Like, and it goes to show that they are so against Donald Trump, the MAGA movement, and what they don't comprehend at this point is that really it's the MAGA movement, but it is incorporated by conservatives, Democrats, moderates, progressives, some not so crazy liberals, and not some so crazy conservatives, and yes, right-wing conservatives too. There are some crazy people in there. And I will tell you, I have been in groups where they have come in and they have made racial slurs or they have said something horrible. And I will tell you, we go after them. You can't do that. I'm not going to be okay with you doing that. And, I recall a time that there was a gal in our group. This was a conservative MAGA group. And she posted a picture of her daughter going to prom, and her date was a black guy. And some guy came in there and said, "Oh, you should be ashamed. That's disgusting. Why would you let that?" And we went after him. Now we don't quite do the doxing. Some do, but we went after him and we're like, that's not tolerated. It's a beautiful picture and they're two beautiful teenagers. You can't do that, and it's not tolerated here. And he was kicked out of the group. We don't tolerate that if we see it. We really don't. Even though people think we are all about it, but that's not true.
Party and for the mainstream media that they perpetuated this. They started all of this and gave it a platform to gain momentum.
Yeah. For those who haven't heard that, I think it's important for people to listen because it's poignant. Listen.
He grabbed me from my hair and then he slapped me, and then the neighbor, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to react. I have pictures of the evidence, all the bruises, because even on Wednesday, he hit me around 3 in the morning. He would just wake up and hit me.
Christy, my husband was a prosecutor at one time, and he would have women who were beat up by their husbands who would give statements like this and then go into court and defend, end up defending the person.
Yeah, I will say I have been on the end of that as a law enforcement officer. When you are at the house and it was clear domestic violence, and as a matter of fact, there was one that I was at. It's my most memorable one. So I'm going to tell this story real quick. I was at a house, and the house was dirty, pretty dirty. She was not huge, but a larger girl. But she wasn't gigantic and huge fat girl. She was just, overweight, and she was unkept, and she was kind of dirty. The kids were dirty. Only one child was clean. The dad was in very clear work clothes, work boots, Carhartt pants, or Dockers, and very dirty from working. And we take him aside and we have him talk. And we talk to them and we get the information. Now, we quite often have a signal. Ours was number one, I'm going to put him in cuffs. And that means secure the other person, make sure that they are not going to be a problem. So I'm talking to the guy and he said, "I'm really sorry." He goes, "I can't say anything except for I did. I hit her. I hit her one time right across the face, closed fist. I punched her right in the face." And he's like, "I lost it. I absolutely lost it." And I said, "Well, tell me what happened. Explain to me why you did that." And he said, "Well, I came home from work after a really long 15-hour shift. I came in, she was laying on the couch with her bowl of snacks, watching some TV show, some daytime show, whatever thing. And I asked if dinner was ready. And she says, "Not right now. I'm watching my show." And then I saw my daughter in her diaper that was overflowing. My other kids were dirty. There was food all on the counter, food on the high chair, food everywhere, dirty stuff everywhere, laundry everywhere. And she was fat and lazy laying on the couch eating her snacks. And I said, "Could you just get up and take care of our children?" And she said, "They're your kids. Why don't you take care of them?" And he goes, and she got up off the couch, threw the bowl of snacks at me and says, "Why do you have to interrupt my show? When my show is over with, I'll start doing something." And he said, "When your show is over with, you've had all day to take care of our kids And our house, and it was a nice house, actually. It was in a nice neighborhood. It was a nice house, obviously, cost a little bit of money. And she said, "What are you going to do about it?" And he said, "And I just lost it." And I punched her in the face. She hit the ground, and I snatched up my kid, and I went in the bathroom and drew a bath and gave my kid a bath. When I came out of giving my child a bath, getting ready to give the other kids a bath, and I said to her, "Why couldn't you even have given the kids a bath?" And she said, "Well, if you hadn't come home early, the kids would have had their bath." And he said, "It doesn't matter what time I get home, da 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 da." Well, then the door knocked and we were at the door. And so he said, "Yeah, I hit her. I hit her the one time. I stopped myself from hurting her anymore. She tried to push me even further, but she had already called 911. And I think that's why she was really pushing me to try to get me to hit her some more." And so I said, I really apologize, but I'm going to have to arrest you. It's the law. It's the way it is. She doesn't even have to prosecute. We have to based on the circumstances. And I said, "So I need you to turn around and put your hands behind your back." So he did. And I mean, as soon as he turned around with both his hands behind his back, that bitch, she should have been a track star. Because I will tell you, she could do some damage in either pole vaulting or the hurdles, because that bitch came running. The cop she was standing with did not grab her. He didn't see the signs. He didn't pay attention. I don't know what the circumstance was. It all happened so quick that she took off across, and she was on the other side of the house. We were in the kitchen. The kitchen was part of the living room. So I'm setting the stage for you. And they had an island. And she came running across, and she jumped over that island, grabbing a butcher knife on her way by. And she said, "I'm going to fucking kill you." And so I grab the dude and I roll him under the table, and I am protecting him. And it took me a few seconds to realize she was talking about me. And she was trying to stab me, saying, "You fucking cop, you pig, I'm going to kill you. You don't take my man to jail, yada, yada, yada." Needless to say, she was subdued. She was not shot. She was subdued, and she was put in handcuffs. And at that point, I had to call for other backup, because now I'm also a victim, and it was attempted murder on a police officer. And she got charged with numerous charges. I wrote a scathing report so that he could use it in court to help him. He did go to court and went to court against her and got custody of his children and got divorced. I did follow that one. I don't follow a lot of them, but I did follow that one because I thought it was important. And he got custody, got divorced. She ended up doing I think she got like 8 years in prison is what I believe she got overall. And so of course I called social services. Social services came in, they did a full report. They did have to put the children in social services foster care for a few nights till the guy got out of jail. But he got out on OR, and it was all of us officers that were at the court standing up for him when he went to court. And it's not a justifiable hit, because you should never hit a woman, yada, yada. But I even stood up there and I said, I'd have hit her. I'd have hit her. Like, how you can only take so much before you break yourself. So yeah, I'd have hit her. And when a woman is on the stand as a police officer saying, I'd have hit her, you kind of have a hard time really going hardcore after the guy. And he hit her one time and took his kids to go get baths. I think that speaks volumes for the man. So that being the case, yeah, women will go and defend them on the stand. All right, we're going to listen to this other one from Christy Nome. This is kind of important too.
There are families that have lost their loved ones due to illegal aliens that have committed crimes of violence against them. I'm going to introduce them and let them have an opportunity to speak as well. But the first one is Jim Walden. Then Brian and Aaron McCann are coming up as well, Kathy Zander and Nancy Palentia.
Now, the reason why this is so important to have on here real quick is because of look at what has happened with these people who have come into our country and done so many horrible things. And where was the due process? Where was their time to be protected? Why are we protecting these criminals who are doing these horrible things to people, but we're not protecting the people that are hurt? That, to me, seems like it should be much more important than this smaller picture they're trying to paint as us going after these people for no reason whatsoever. We're just going after them. We're horrible.
All of these families have lost their loved ones, their family members, their children, and people that were very, very dear to them. Brian's brother Denny was crossing a street in Chicago when he was struck by an illegal alien drunk driver who kept on driving for a block while dragging Denny on the road. That alien then fled the scene. Both killers had been previously protected from discovery and deportation by sanctuary policies. Jim's son, Jimmy, was a Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps, and he was killed on a motorcycle ride by a twice deported illegal alien who had left his injured stepson in the car while he fled to get.
Now, we have also heard from people several times. I've heard this. Well, there's crimes that Americans do, just people already in this country. Yeah, that is true. And they should be prosecuted. And they usually are prosecuted, but they're not hidden. They don't have some sanctuary to go to. If you're caught and you do something, and in that situation, if you have a child in the car, your child's going to go to protective custody with social services. You're going to go to jail. You're going to be separated from your kid, and you're going to be prosecuted. But when you're illegal and you do these crimes and they protect you, where's the justice there?
Get away from prosecution. Those two men both lost individuals because of illegal aliens that had been protected from discovery and deportation. Also with me today is Kathy Zander. Her son John died of fentanyl poisoning. John is one of the many Americans whose lives have been cut short because of the lack of enforcement against those who perpetuate drugs and the infiltration of its trafficking by cartels and other illegal gangs into this state. Nancy Palentia is the mother of Nick. Nick tragically lost his life as well from a fentanyl overdose. And Nick worked every day to get other people clean from drugs and started his own business before his.
And that's so sad that he was trying to help other people get off drugs. And then he had a relapse and he went and he did it again. And then he died from it. And it's very sad that this happens, because we don't need to have so many people that are affected by this and us not talk about it and us not be real about it. There is so many important things that happen that we forget to talk about, that we leave out of the conversation. I don't care how these people get a hold of it. Anyone who is providing it is a criminal. And it's sad that we're losing people like KK, losing her to this horrible drug. But who brought it in? How did it get here? I don't care who's taking it so much as I care who's bringing it. Because majority of the time, those who sell it, provide it, bring it in, are generally not the users. They don't care who's hurt. They don't care about the families who are hurt. And these sanctuary cities don't care about the families that are hurt. They won't say their names. They will not say their names. Not of rape victims, murder victims, or drug victims. They won't say their names. But I like that she is. She's bringing it up.
His son, Jimmy.
Good morning, everyone. As the secretary referred to, my son was serving in the United States Marine Corps in the intel field. He worked for the National Security Agency. Jimmy was 21 years old. He was hit and killed riding his motorcycle by an illegal that the state of Maryland admitted they knew was illegal 5 years before he killed my son. And in that 5-year period, they'd had him in jail 5 times. He was convicted of domestic violence and put on probation.
Do you not think after 5 times they could have arrested? So this is where you go and you go, well, you know, there's Americans that commit crimes. Yeah, but they're not let go over and over and hidden when they're illegals. Yes, there are people who commit crimes and they get probation, they get second chances, they get third chances. It's the one thing I think California did right is the 3-strike rule. You get more time and, you know. But if you hide them, you put them back out there because, God forbid, you have them deported. That's a big problem. And then situations like this with his young Marine son are killed.
And he was illegal. Jimmy would have been 30 years old yesterday. We'll never know where he would be, what he would be doing.
So think about that. He would have been 30 years old today. He was 21 when this happened. So that was 9 years ago. That makes me extremely sad about that situation. These people are sharing their stories because it's important for us to hear their stories. It's important for us to know about their kids. It's important for us to talk about it. Now, I'm skipping ahead because he actually he talks about his foundation that he started. You can watch this whole video because this whole video is 25 minutes long. So we're not going to play every single one of them. But you can watch the whole video. It's 25 minutes long. You can search it on YouTube, and it is DHS Secretary Noem speaks outside Democrat governor's mansion.
I'm going to next invite Kathy Zander to come up and share some thoughts, but also to talk about her son, John, as well.
My name is Kathy Zander. I lost my son to a fentanyl poisoning. My son did make a choice to snort a line of cocaine, which was spiked with fentanyl. I'm sure now with this administration, everybody's heard of fentanyl. We all know it's a weapon of mass destruction, and we all know it's flooding our streets. We all know where it's coming from, and it needs to stop. Turning your head can't happen anymore. We are losing 300 Americans a day on American soil, and nobody is talking about it. At some point, when it hits someone's family, they look for people like us because they can't verbalize what's going on with them. So they find comfort in a comfort zone and a path where everyone knows what's going on. Again, I'm happy for DuPage County Sheriff. He was the only one that listened to me when this happened, and I'm thankful that he's running for governor, and I pray to God he wins. Kathy with a K. Zander, Zander, Carroll Stream, Illinois, DuPage County.
Next, I'm going to invite Nancy to come up.
I do have to say, I like the fact that these people are willing to speak about it, because it is extremely painful when you've experienced a loss because of this. And we can't keep pretending that it's not happening. That number is too high. 1 is too high, but when you have 300, 300,000, 30, 3, it's too many. And we have to stop it. We have to push to stop it. And there's only one way we're going to do that. And that is by sharing this information and talking about it and not fighting over it, not having a war over protecting individuals who don't care about human life.
Nick was introduced to fentanyl when he had surgery. They put a fentanyl patch on him in the hospital for 5 days, took it off and said, "You're done. See you in 10 days for a checkup." And that's how he became addicted to heroin, because he couldn't get the fentanyl. And he was clean and sober for 19 months. And in that 19 months, he was able to help numerous people get into treatment. He was the one that they would call. He would go pick them up off the streets of downtown Chicago if they were willing to go. The amount of people he saved was amazing. And he chose to do it one more time. There was no heroin in it at all. It was all fentanyl and xylazine. And in DuPage, supposedly he was the second victim of xylazine in 2021.
These stories should be hitting you. They should be hurting your heart. It should make you think about why we have to talk about it, why we have to be a voice for these people who are suffering, my family and Kristen's family suffering because of this horrible stuff that has happened. We have to think about it. We have to talk about it. We have to be open and honest about it. And we can't hide from it anymore because it's too important for us to slide under a rug. We can't do that anymore. We have to be open and honest and willing to talk about it. We have to be open and honest and willing to share our stories like they're sharing their stories. And I've shared my story. She was my family. We'd been friends for so long that she was my sister. She was my family. Blood or no blood, she was my family. So it's really important that we share these situations that happen. And we can't keep pretending it's not happening. We can't keep pretending that they're just innocent people who just want a new, better life in this country. And we haven't even gotten to the race side of it yet today. We've only been on the deportation side of it. But there's so much more that's pushing us to these brinks of destruction and devastation. And it's so hard to just let go. I am going to play this little bit of this one here. Ooh, excuse me. And we're going to play little bits and pieces from the Angle, Laura Angle.
That's the focus of tonight's Angle.
Ingram's
Every
Angle.
day that goes by that Trump's in office, we learn more about how dedicated he is to saving our nation state, and at the same time, how dedicated the Democrats are to shattering it. Now, if there were any doubt, I mean any doubt whatsoever about the Democrats' true intentions with immigration, those have been totally wiped out in just 3 months of Trump 2.0. Now, when he started deporting, they started grandstanding and filing lawsuits. They want open borders at all costs, which means protecting the criminals at all costs. And when they say, well, of course, we support deporting violent criminals, that's meaningless and it's also untrue. The White House put up yard signs of the worst aliens arrested so far, and listen to the exasperated reaction over at MSDNC.
They put them up on the driveway of the White House. What's particularly noteworthy about this location is it is right directly behind the positions where TV correspondents do their hits from the White House lawn. So therefore, no matter what network you're on, that includes MSNBC, if you're doing a hit from the White House right.
And listen to how it sounds. It sounds like disdain of why they would be promoting who's been arrested. The disdain is disgusting. I cannot.
Now, those pictures will be behind you.
Okay, they're forced to report the truth. That's what they don't like.
Yeah.
It's like at my kid's school, if you give a certain amount of money, you get your name up on the driveway. But this is the truth of what Biden did. He released criminals into America. And the press avoided as much as it could reporting this for 4 years. And now, as I said, they're being forced to, which makes them very uncomfortable and mad. They didn't report on people like 49-year-old Rasmain Sankara of Burkina Faso. He was arrested just last week. His criminal history? He was convicted in New York for rape in the first degree. Or Jose Chicas Martinez of El Salvador. He was arrested last month. He was convicted in the state of Virginia for aggravated sexual battery of a victim who was less than 13 years of age. And that's just to name a few. Now, the reality is much worse. The White House released a list of 100 of the worst illegals. But wait a second. I thought Democrats insisted all these people were honor roll students and future engineers. How insulting that always was to the families of the victims, to legal immigrants who did it the legal way. And how insulting to the victims themselves, to the pain that they endured because Biden allowed these animals into this country and then released them.
And I will tell you, they have a hissy fit when they hear us call them animals. But is that not what they are? You can go and watch the rest of this program. It is 42 minutes long, and it is Fox News highlights, April 28th, 2025. This portion of it is Ingram's Angle. That's Laura Ingraham, and it's called the Angle Report. But you can go watch that. And I am going to pivot now, and it is time. Do you know what time it is? It is time for Dear Margaret. Now, in case you're not familiar with what Dear Margaret is my modern take on Dear Abby. If you have a question for Dear Margaret, please write it in to email it to dearmarg, DEARMARG @gurltaux.com, GURLTAUX, because we're going to talk about it. And if you wonder why it's called Margaret and not Tori, because it's not Dear Tori, it's Dear Margaret. Dear Margaret is because I really enjoyed the interview that J.D. Vance had with Margaret and told her, and it had to do with the illegals. And it had to do with the Tren de Aragua gang members taking over the apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. And she claimed, we talked to the mayor's office and they said there was only 1 or 2 accounts of this problem. And he said, I really don't care, Margaret. I don't want them in my country. I don't want them in our neighborhoods. I don't want them around our people. I really don't. And he kept saying, I really don't care, Margaret. And it became kind of a little meme thing going on. I really don't care, Margaret. Well, that's how I feel. I really don't care, Margaret. But if you have questions, I do care about your questions. Or do I? But I will give you my honest take. I will give you my unbridled opinion about what your questions are. So let's get to it.
Dear Margaret's here, let's dive right in. Bring your questions, let's begin. Life's a real maze. We'll help you with your coping. Dealing with life in this rat race. Honest thoughts, no sugarcoating.
Bust your tales, your woes, your gripes. No fluff, no bows, just real life types. Sign it clever, let your pen take flight. We'll serve the truth, sharp and bright.
Send us a query, take a lead. No hidden rules, no secrets to keep. Anonymous wisdom that cuts so deep. Dear Margaret's advice you'll want to reap. But in the end, let's admit we all really don't care, Margaret.
All right, let's get to question. So I have like 6 or 8 questions. Now, these questions are questions that people have submitted, and I try to put them in category orders so that they will be relevant to our discussion, at least somewhat. So I am going to get started here with our first Dear Margaret question. And it is important for us to think about these questions that people are writing in, because they are sending these questions in. And I think it's important for us to give our own assessment while I'm giving my assessment. All right, here we go. Dear Margaret, MS-13's got my neighborhood on edge. Jailbreaks, street fights. How do I keep my family safe without sparking more racial tension? Oh, wow. So I have to say, and I hope people like my new hat that I'm going to be wearing when I do Dear Margaret, just so that it is part of the Dear Margaret segment. Okay. Anyway, first of all, your family needs to come first. That's one of the important parts. Your family needs to come first. And you're right. You have to tread carefully. MS-13 and any other gang out there, they thrive on fear. Be tougher. I'd say personally, get a concealed carry permit. Go and train with your weapon. 80% of women with CCWs feel safer. That's per the NRA 2025. Join a neighborhood watch. They cut crime by 15%, according to the DOJ. Call out MS-13 as criminals, not race, not migrants, criminals, and illegals, because 90% of them are illegals. Holman says they're animals, not communities, not community members, not outstanding people. Stay armed, stay vigilant, keep love louder than hate. But you need to pay attention to it. Now, I will say that if you choose, and you haven't already done so, and you don't have a firearm, and you choose to get one, and you choose to carry, please do yourself a favor. Do me a favor. Do everyone a favor. And practice. Train with it. Don't just carry it around because you passed an 8-hour class. Do yourself a favor and practice and train with it. When I was in law enforcement, I learned from our firearms instructor, and I learned this in the military as well. It takes about 2,000 times of repeatedly doing something before it becomes automated. So if you don't train with your weapon, you can become a victim of your weapon because someone else will take it from you. So don't carry it unless you are prepared to use it. And don't carry it unless you're trained with it. That is my opinion. I think that it's okay to carry and it's okay not to. If you're afraid of firearms or if you're afraid of a weapon, please don't carry one. Don't get one just because. And if you're going to get one, go to the range. Practice with it. Be prepared to use it if you need to. Stay locked and loaded. But at the same time, if you're going to stay locked and loaded, and I forgot the signature on that one, it was locked and loaded, Houston. If you're going to be locked and loaded and you're going to be prepared and you're going to have one, you need to Practice, train. Train like you're going to need to use it. Don't pretend that just because you have it, and like I did on one of my other shows, I'm going to be doing one on self-defense here soon, but I have concealed carry purses. Now I train and practice with them because my son caught me off guard and I showed him and I couldn't use it. I couldn't get the gun out. I now have it Velcroed inside. I couldn't get the gun out. The holster came out with it. I had it on the wrong arm. It was a fiasco. And I'm well trained with a firearm. But I put myself in a position that it could be used against me because I was carrying it incorrectly. If you're going to carry something like that in a concealed carry purse, practice with it. Know how to use it. I had to train myself to carry my purse on my left arm instead of my right arm. Yeah, I'm going to bash that one into the ground because you really need to be prepared. And preparing means practicing. Okay? So that's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. But in the end, I really don't care, Margaret. That's one of the things you have to think about. All right? Question number 2. Dear Margaret, I'm all for deporting MS-13, but my lefty friend says it's racist. How do I argue without starting a fight? Oh my God, that one kills me because it's not racist to deport people who are committing crimes against other people. We're trying to keep it civil. Yeah, okay. Respect. But deportation isn't about race. It's about crime. And when you come into this country illegally, it's already your first crime. Deporting 139,000 migrants since January of 2025 is huge. They're targeting gangbangers, MS-13, not skin color. It doesn't matter what race you are if you're part of a gang. Tell your friends protecting communities isn't hate. It's duty. Share ICE's stats. 90% of these deportees had criminal records. Stay calm, drop facts, and let them marinate. Give them videos to break down. Show them these clips. Show them these people that are standing up. Facts over feelings. That's what we need to think about. We need to keep our facts over feelings. This thing that started a while back, it was pretty much during Biden's campaign, is feelings. I feel this. And, I remember Ben Shapiro saying, F your feelings. It's all about facts. That's something important that we have to think about. All right, question number 3. We only have a couple more questions, and then we are out of here in 2 minutes. I think we have 2 more questions, 3 and 4. All right, let's get to question number 3. Dear Margaret, judges keep blocking deportations like Boasberg with those gang flights. How do we stop them from enabling MS-13? Signed, Justice Junkie, Miami, Florida. You know what? We have to keep, again, I think this goes back to what we just said, facts over feelings. We have to share the facts that are coming out and the stuff that the left media doesn't want us to share. That's where we have the media war, it's between the right media and the left media and the supposedly non-biased media. I'm one of those. I will tell you the way it is. We're all pissed, and we should be. Boasberg is stepping outside of his bounds, and those other judges who tried to hide them, they're out of their bounds. And it's not us going after judges now. It's not us going after people now. It's about the law, and we have to protect the law of this land and the citizens of this country. So share some information with them. Share some very important information with them. I think it's really important that we keep in mind the things that are causing this problem and keep them clear so that we don't have present danger. All right, we have one more that we're going to share, and I'm skipping over one because it's about the race issue and we never even got to that one today. So I'm going to skip over to number 5, and that'll be our last one for today, and then we will be done for the day. And I want you to think about all of these questions that people have sent in. And it's because so many people are concerned about the reality of what's going on and how it affects them personally on a what about me issue? What about me discussion? And it makes me concerned when people are worried about how they look, how they appear. We have to keep the facts relevant, not feelings and not how you might look or might appear. I have people that I'm sure think I'm a bigot, I'm a racist, I'm a transphobe, I'm homophobe, all those things, and I'm not. But I base it on the facts. I base it on what's really happening and what's important. And I don't base it on how people feel. I base it on the facts. Just facts, ma'am. Just the facts. So we're going to do our last one, number 5, and then we are done for the day. So just keep that in mind. Don't worry about how you look as long as you are staying true to yourself and true to the facts. That's what I think is more important. Dear Margaret, my city is a sanctuary mess. MS-13's out of control. Can I push for deportations without being canceled? Wow, I hit that one on the head. You're in a tough spot, but you're no coward. That's what I'd say. Don't be a coward. Stick to the facts, man. Sanctuary cities release 70% of criminal migrants without ICE detainers. Homan's fighting this, saying they're endangering communities. Organized with groups like Border 911. 50,000 members strong in 2025. Post anonymously on X. I disagree with that part of it. I'm going to say it. But I think you should be proud to stand with our law enforcement. But if you're worried in your community and you feel like they might go after you, then yeah, stay as anonymous if you have to. But speak up at city council meetings. You can go to them and speak your voice. Be brave, be strong, be resilient, and be factual. Leave the feelings out of it and keep the facts to the forefront. Unless the feelings are really, you have some of those feelings when it comes to the danger and the harm that has been caused. We're protecting, not hating. You can watch other videos and share information out there with all sorts of people. Share it. Share. Share shows like this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more information. And that is it for Dear Margaret. I dropped my hat. That's it for Dear Margaret. I look bald when I take off my hat. Anyway, that's it for Dear Margaret. I appreciate you all being here today. That's it for our show today. Thank you so much. And again, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share this with other people so I can continue to build my tribe and my community. Great day. And don't forget, our show is Monday through Friday, 5 to 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Thank you for watching Gurl TauX live broadcast, which airs weekdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard
5 p.m.
Don't forget to send in your Dear Margaret questions. Then join us for our opinion-based tonight. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night. Don't forget, 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, Central Standard Time.